You ever had something you worked your whole life for? Something that carried not just value but memories only? To have someone try to rip it away from you? That was me, standing in my driveway, staring at my Jeep, the same one I'd rebuilt with my late brother. I thought no one could touch it. Until Karen showed up. And when I say Karen, I mean the kind of woman who believes the world owes her daughter a shiny gift, no matter who it belongs to. It was a sunny Saturday morning, and I had just finished washing my Jeep. The smell of soap mixed with the faint scent of pine trees around my home in the suburbs. I ran my hand along the hood, smiling like I always did. Narration: this Jeep wasn't just a car. It was my connection to my brother, who passed away 5 years ago. We rebuilt it from scratch in our dad's old barn. Every bolt, every dent carried a story, and that made it priceless. As I was drying it off, I heard the sharp sound of heels clacking on the pavement. I turned and saw her Karen, her lips pursed tight, oversized sunglasses perched on her nose, and her daughter, a girl around 20, stood behind her, scrolling on her phone with the kind of entitlement only years of spoiling could breed. "Morning," I said politely. Trying to keep things civil, Karen didn't return the greeting. Instead, she pointed at my Jeep. "That's perfect," she said, as if picking something out of a store. "My daughter will love that." I frowned. "Excuse me?" Karen stepped closer, her perfume sharp enough to sting my nose. "She's been wanting a Jeep, and since you have this old thing, I figured it'd be better in her hands than yours. I mean, look at you middle-aged. No kids to drive around. Why waste it?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. "Lady, this isn't for sale. This Jeep's mine." Karen tilted her head, feigning innocence. "Everything has a price. Come on, be reasonable." "It's just a car." My heart tightened. "Just a car? This Jeep is family to me." Her daughter chimed in, finally looking up from her phone. "Mom, just tell him. Dad always said people in this neighborhood have to share. He'll give it up." Something inside me stirred anger, but also disbelief. The next day, I noticed Karen and her daughter hanging around my driveway. Circling the Jeep, I stormed out. "Back away from the car," I said firmly. Karen smirked. "Relax. We're just making sure it'll suit her. You don't want to fight us on this. It'll end badly for you." I clenched my fists. "You don't scare me. This Jeep is mine." "Step away now," her daughter muttered. "God, he's so selfish." 2 mornings later, I woke up to find a note taped to my door. Written in bold marker, it said, "Either hand over the Jeep, or we'll get the law involved." I laughed bitterly. The law over my own car? That afternoon, I confronted Karen in front of her house. "You think you can just threaten me into giving up what's mine?" She crossed her arms, smirking. "Oh, sweetheart, I don't threaten. My brother-in-law is a police officer. You won't win." The audacity in her voice made my blood boil, but deep inside, I wasn't worried. Because while she had her so-called connections, I had something she didn't know about someone much higher than a police officer. Sure enough, the next weekend, I heard sirens outside. 2 police cars parked in front of my house. My neighbors peeked through blinds, curious. An officer approached me. "Sir, we've had a report that this vehicle," he pointed to my Jeep, "was stolen." "Stolen, officer? That's my car. I've had it for years. Registered in my name." Karen strutted over, her daughter in tow. "There he is. That's the man who stole the Jeep my daughter was promised. Arrest him." The officer frowned. "Ma'am, we'll need proof of ownership." I pulled out my registration papers and title, my hands steady, but my heart pounding. Karen's daughter whined. "Mom, why is this taking so long?" "Just make them arrest him." The officer scanned the papers. "Looks legitimate." Karen's face turned red. No. You don't understand. He's lying. He manipulated the documents." I stared at her, half in anger, half in disbelief. "You've lost your mind." The officers, now skeptical, asked Karen for her proof. Of course, she had none. She sputtered excuses, waving her hands, and that's when I decided to end the circus. I looked the officer in the eye. Would you like me to call the state attorney's office? He's a close friend of mine. Karen's smirk vanished instantly. What do you mean? The officer blinked. You know the state attorney? I nodded calmly. Worked with him on community cases for years. He owes me a call back anyway. For the first time, Karen looked rattled. Her daughter's smugness faded too. The officer straightened. Sir, if that's true, I'd recommend we resolve this peacefully. Clearly, this isn't what it seemed. Karen shouted, This isn't over. You'll regret this. As she dragged her daughter away, that night, I sat in my Jeep, hand on the steering wheel, staring at the stars. My brother's voice echoed in my mind, reminding me of the bond we had built over this machine. But peace didn't last long, because 2 nights later, I heard a sound that made my blood run cold, metal grinding, glass shattering. I rushed outside and froze. Karen's daughter was inside my Jeep, trying to hotwire it. The sound of glass shattering in the middle of the night is something no one forgets. My heart pounded as I bolted out the front door. The cool night air stung my skin, but the adrenaline was hotter than fire. There she was, Karen's daughter, sitting in the driver's seat of my Jeep. Fumbling with wires under the dashboard, the dome light glowed across her guilty face, but she looked up at me like she had every right to be there. I roared, my voice echoing down the quiet street. She flinched, then sneered. You should have just given it to me. Mom said you don't deserve it. I yanked open the door and pulled her out before she could do more damage. Do you have any idea what this means to me? You're breaking into my home's driveway? This isn't just theft, it's vandalism, she spat back. It's mine now. My mom promised it. You're too old to care about this thing anyway. Her words cut deep, sharper than I wanted to admit. But anger steadied me. As if summoned by the chaos, Karen appeared in a robe, her hair messy, but her voice sharp as ever. Don't you dare touch my daughter. She screamed, storming toward me. Your daughter is breaking into my Jeep. This is a crime. I snapped. Karen didn't miss a beat. You're overreacting. She's just trying it out. You wouldn't let her, so she took matters into her own hands. Don't make this bigger than it is. My voice shook with fury. Trying it out? She smashed my window and tried to hotwire the car. Do you even hear yourself? Karen's face twisted with entitlement. Listen, here you've got no family. No one who cares if you keep that old hunk of metal. My daughter deserves it more than you ever will. Those words stung more than her yelling. No family? She didn't know the Jeep was the last piece of my brother I had left. I gritted my teeth. This Jeep is my family, and I'm not letting either of you take it. Within minutes, flashing lights lit up the street again. A neighbor had called the cops. The same officer from before stepped out, shaking his head as if he already knew the circus was back in town. What's going on this time? He asked, his tone tired. I pointed at the broken glass. Caught her red-handed trying to steal my Jeep. Karen shoved her daughter behind her, shouting, That's a lie. He's making it up because he's obsessed with us. He dragged my daughter out of a car violently. The officer raised an eyebrow. Ma'am, is this your vehicle? Karen stammered. It's supposed to be hers. He promised it wrong, I cut in, handing over my registration again. It's mine. And this time, I want charges pressed. Breaking and entering. Attempted theft. The officer studied Karen's daughter, who was visibly shaken now. Miss, did you attempt to start this car without permission? Her silence was loud enough to answer. The officer sighed, pulled out his cuffs, and said, I'm sorry, but I have to place you under arrest. Karen shrieked. No. You can't arrest her. She's just a child. She's 21, I shot back. Old enough to know right from wrong. Daughter screamed as the officer cuffed her, Karen yelling, neighbors peeking out from their windows. My quiet street had become a stage for chaos, but Karen wasn't done. Not even close. The very next morning, I got a knock at my door. When I opened it, there was a formal-looking letter. A lawsuit. Karen had filed a claim against me accusing me of assaulting her daughter, damaging their property, and intentionally causing emotional distress. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the paper, my stomach sinking. She wanted a fight, but I had something she didn't. the truth, and a very powerful friend. I picked up my phone and called David, the state attorney for our county, a man I'd worked with during my years volunteering for community legal aid. When he answered, his calm but authoritative voice steadied me. "David, I've got a situation." I explained everything Corinne's demands. "The police reports the lawsuit." He chuckled, but not with amusement. "Sounds like someone's about to dig their own grave." "Don't worry. I'll handle this personally." Weight lifted off my chest. Weeks later, the courtroom was packed. Neighbors, curious citizens, even people who had heard whispers about the Jeep case. Karen strutted in like a queen, her daughter trailing behind, looking less confident now. She smirked at me, whispering loud enough for others to hear, "Hope you said goodbye to your toy because it's hours after today." I stayed silent, because I didn't need to fight alone. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. The case began. Karen's lawyer painted me as some bitter old man who brutally attacked a young woman for simply admiring a car he had promised her. Everything in me not to laugh at the lies. Then David, the state attorney himself, stood. The entire room seemed to lean forward. "Your Honor," he said firmly, "this is not just a case of entitlement. This is about attempted theft, false police reports, and harassment against my client." Karen's smug smile faltered. David presented the evidence, the registration, the broken window photos, the police body cam footage where Karen's daughter refused to answer questions. The judge's face hardened. "Ms. Karen," the judge asked, "do you have any proof this vehicle belongs to your daughter?" Karen blurted, "It should. He doesn't deserve it. My daughter deserves better than walking everywhere while he keeps some sentimental toy." The courtroom gasped. Even her lawyer buried his face in his hands. David leaned in, his voice calm but razor-sharp. "So your claim is not based on ownership, but on entitlement?" Karen stammered, "That's not, no, I mean." The judge slammed the gavel. "Enough." The daughter, trembling, finally spoke up. Her voice cracked. "Mom, stop, please. This isn't working." Karen whipped her head around. "Quiet. Don't you dare embarrass me." But it was too late. The courtroom had seen the truth, the overbearing mother dragging her child into ruin. The judge delivered the verdict. All charges against the defendant are dismissed. Furthermore, Ms. Karen's daughter is found guilty of attempted theft and property damage. Restitution must be paid. Case closed. The gavel hit like thunder. Karen erupted, shouting, "This isn't fair. You can't do this to us. We're victims here." The bailiff had to escort her out as the crowd dispersed. David clapped me on the shoulder. "I told you, people like that eventually hang themselves with their own rope." I smiled, though my heart was heavy, because while I had one, I couldn't shake the image of that young woman, Corinne's daughter, caught in her mother's shadow, paying for decisions she never fully owned. I sat in my Jeep that evening, running my hand along the steering wheel. I whispered, "We made it, brother. They couldn't take this from us." But deep down, I knew the battle had left scars, and the story wasn't finished yet, because what happened next was something I never saw coming. For a few weeks, life finally felt normal again. The lawsuit was over. The Jeep was safe. My neighbors, once entertained by the chaos, had gone back to their routines, but peace rarely lasts when someone like Karen is involved. I should have known one crisp autumn evening. As the sun dipped behind the trees, I returned home from work and saw it, the GPIT's paint scratched, its tires slashed, and the windshield cracked clean across. My knees buckled. I staggered forward, staring at the destruction. The same Jeep my brother and I had rebuilt, with blood and sweat, lay wounded in my own driveway, and in red spray paint across the hood, one word screamed at me: THIEF. I collapsed onto the curb, my chest heaving. Neighbors gathered, whispering. Someone muttered, "Looks like that crazy woman finally snapped." I buried my face in my hands. The anger burned hot, but beneath it was sorrow. The Jeep wasn't just metal-lit, was memory. And Karen had just tried to burn that memory down. I called the police, of course. They came, shook their heads, took photos, But Karen was careful this time. No cameras caught her. No witnesses brave enough to say they saw her do it. One officer leaned close to me and whispered, "We all know who did this." But sometimes the best revenge isn't in handcuffs, it's in letting them destroy themselves. Those words stayed with me. 2 nights later, a knock echoed through my house. Cautious, I opened the door. It wasn't Karen. It was her daughter. Her eyes were red, makeup smeared like she'd been crying for hours. She held herself like someone carrying the weight of the world. Can I talk to you?" she asked softly. I hesitated. Every part of me wanted to slam the door, but something in her voice, the tremor, the desperation made me step aside. She walked in, glancing at the photos on my wall, at the tools in the corner, at the broken Jeep sitting outside the window. Finally, she whispered, "I'm sorry." She sank into a chair. Wringing her hands, "I didn't want any of this," she said. "The Jeep, the police, the court, none of it, Mom. She pushes and pushes until you either give in or break. And I've been breaking for years." Her voice cracked. "She always told me the world owed me things, that if I wanted something, I should take it, because people like you didn't deserve it. But sitting in that courtroom, watching you fight for something that actually meant something to you, I realized she was wrong." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I know I messed up. I tried to steal from you. I damaged something precious, and I can't take it back. But I need you to know, it wasn't really about the Jeep. It was about me trying to be what she wanted. I'm so tired of living her battles." I sat there, stunned. For the first time, I didn't see an entitled kid. I saw a young woman, trapped in her mother's shadow, desperate to breathe. I spoke slowly, choosing each word. "You hurt me. You hurt what my brother and I built, and part of me will never forgive that." She nodded, ashamed. But I continued, "I also see someone who doesn't want to keep going down the same path. And if you truly mean what you're saying, if you truly want to be different, you've got to make a choice. Not for me, not for your mom, for you." Her shoulders shook as she whispered, "I don't know how." I leaned forward, my voice firm but gentle. "You start by walking away from the person who keeps teaching you to hate." Her sobs filled the room. The next morning, Karen stormed into my driveway, screaming at her daughter, who hadn't come home that night. "You ungrateful brat. How dare you go crawling to him?" She shrieked, pointing at me. "You're supposed to be on my side." Her daughter stood firm, trembling but defiant. "No, Mom, not anymore. I'm done. You've ruined enough. You ruined me." Karen's face twisted, her voice rising. "Everything I did was for you. I fought for you." Her daughter shot back. "You fought for yourself. You wanted control. You don't even care what I want." The neighbors gathered again, watching as years of tension exploded in one fiery storm. Karen turned to me, venom in her eyes. "This is your fault. You poisoned her against me." I shook my head calmly. "No, Karen, you did that yourself." For the first time, Karen's voice broke. She screamed, cursed, then collapsed onto the curb, sobbing uncontrollably. It wasn't victory, I felt. It was pity. Because in her rage, Karen had lost the only person who still stood by her. Over the next few weeks, her daughter came by often, not to ask for the Jeep, but to help fix what had been broken. Together, we replaced the windshield, patched the scratches, even repainted the hood. As we worked, I told her stories about my brother, the laughter we shared while tightening bolts, the arguments we had over paint colors, the joy when the engine roared to life for the first time. She listened, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying. One evening, as the sun set and the Jeep gleamed like new, she whispered, "I think I understand now. It's not just about the car. It's about the memories you refuse to let die." I nodded. "Exactly. And one day, you'll have something of your own worth protecting. But you'll earn it, not take it." Karen eventually moved away. Whispers in the neighborhood said she couldn't handle the shame, the stares, the isolation. Her daughter stayed behind, building a new life without her mother's shadow. On the day she packed her last bag, she stopped by one final time. She touched the Jeep's hood and smiled faintly. Thank you for not giving up on me completely, even when I didn't deserve it. I placed a hand on her shoulder. Everyone deserves a chance to change. Just don't waste yours. As she walked away, I felt something lift from my chest. Not forgiveness, not fully, but peace. That night, I sat in the Jeep, the engine humming softly. I closed my eyes and whispered, "We made it, brother. She tried to take you from me, but we're still here." And then, in the quiet of the night, another thought settled in my heart. This Jeep wasn't just my brother's memory anymore. It had become a lesson, a reminder that some people will try to take what's not theirs out of entitlement or desperation. But sometimes, in standing firm, you don't just protect what's yours. You show someone else the strength to change their life.